Let's talk about smart streetlights. They promise to make our cities way more efficient, safer, and a whole lot greener. But like a lot of new tech, they also bring up some really complex questions. Questions about our privacy and even what it means to be in a public space. So today, we're going to break down both sides of the coin, the incredible promise and the potential peril of these new smart lights. Okay, so just take a look at this picture. It's the middle of the day in Chittagong, Bangladesh. The sun is out, it's bright, and that street light is on full blast. What you're looking at is a perfect snapshot of a massive problem that's kind of hiding in plain sight. And this isn't just, a one-off glitch. This kind of thing, repeated across thousands and thousands of lights in cities all over the world, well, it adds up to a staggering amount of wasted energy, and it's a huge financial drain on public funds. Basically, our money. So to really get why the solution is so cool, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this problem. I mean, think about that for a second. Up to a third of a city's entire electricity bill can come from just keeping the streets lit at night. For any city, that is one of the single biggest line items on their energy budget. It's huge. So what's actually causing all this waste? Well, in a lot of places, like in this case study from Bangladesh, the system is just old. The lights are literally controlled by people flipping switches. And that's not very efficient, right? It's wide open to human error, which is how you end up with lights burning for hours after the sun is already up. Okay, so faced with this massive inefficiency, a team of researchers in Bangladesh came up with a really fascinating prototype. And they use a technology that is, frankly, reshaping our entire world. And the technology at the heart of their solution is something you've probably heard of, the Internet of Things, or IoT. To put it simply, it's all about making everyday objects, in this case a streetlight, smart. You connect them to the internet so they can sense the world around them and, most importantly, act on their own. Their system is actually brilliantly simple when you break it down. First, a little light sensor figures out if it's daytime or nighttime. No human needed. Second, ultrasonic sensors act like eyes, and they can tell when cars or people are passing by. Third, and this is the really smart part, the light adjusts its own brightness. It'll dim down to save power when the street's empty, and then brighten back up only when it's needed. And finally, everything is monitored from a central dashboard, so officials can see what's going on and even spot a broken bulb instantly. And check this out. Here's the prototype actually doing its thing. On the left, you see the lab lights are on, and the street light stays off. Exactly what you want. But then on the right, the second they cover that sensor to make it think it's night, boom, the light just switches on all by itself. And this is where it gets even cooler. This shows the traffic detection in action. So the researchers put this little toy bus under a sensor, right? Now look at the dashboard on the right. That specific light, light number 3, instantly ramps up its brightness. It's a direct, real-time reaction to what's happening in its environment. So cool. Look, this is more than just a neat science project. When you imagine applying this tech across an entire city, the impact, both for the budget and for the environment, is just enormous. All right, let's look at the numbers, because this is where it gets really wild. So the researchers calculated what the savings could be for Chittagong City. This first bar on the far left, that's the massive yearly cost of the old, inefficient lights. The middle bar shows the savings just from switching to better LED bulbs. But look at this third bar on the right. That's the cost when you add the smart dimming feature. The savings are just, they're staggering. So what's the bottom line here? It all boils down to this. By swapping out old lights for smart, responsive LEDs, a city could cut its streetlight energy costs by about 60%. That is a massive win for the city's budget and for the planet. So, okay, this tech is obviously a powerful tool for saving money and energy. But there's another side to this. To be this efficient, the streetlight has to know what's happening around it. And as these sensors get more and more powerful, the data they collect gets a lot more personal. You see, the bigger vision here is for what people call smart cities. The idea is to put sensors like these everywhere. Streetlights suddenly become this platform to monitor traffic, measure air pollution and noise levels, even detect speeding cars. The whole goal is to create a responsive city that just makes life better and safer for everybody. But this raises a really critical question. As our lampposts get eyes and ears, at what point does a helpful smart city become an invasive surveillance state? To see where this could be headed, we can look at a project out of the Netherlands. They came up with this concept they call atmospheric profiling. Now, this isn't about tracking you as an individual. It's about using all these sensors to measure the collective mood or the vibe of a street. And just look at the kind of data they were pulling in. I mean, it went way beyond just counting people. The sensors were analyzing stress levels in people's voices. They were tracking social media activity in the area. They even used anonymous cell phone data to figure out where visitors were coming from. The streetlight becomes a full-on data-gathering machine. And this all leads to a really big concern, something called the chilling effect. Even if all the data is anonymous, just the knowledge that you're being constantly monitored and analyzed and even profiled, well, it can make you change how you behave. Would you join a protest or maybe have a really sensitive conversation in public if you knew the lamppost above you was analyzing your voice for stress? It can stifle free expression, and that poses a real risk to an open, democratic society. And that really leaves us with the million-dollar question for the future of our cities. We absolutely have the technology to make our infrastructure incredibly intelligent. But as we build this future, we have to figure out how can we get all the benefits of a smarter city without sacrificing the privacy and the freedom that make that city worth living in the first place.